So now on to instance. Swords to Plowshares. Good removal card. If you remove an opponent's creatures from the game, they gain life equal to its power. The life gain isn't really that big of a deal because you're getting rid of really relevant beat stick.
Yeah.
Path to Exile. Same concept. Remove a creature from the game for 1 white, then they search your library for a basic land. I prefer Swords to Plowshares towards Path to Exile because they gain life, and in this case, you're ramping them, which generally isn't that good, although you can use it on some of your own creatures if really needed. Mortify. Destroy target creature or enchantment for 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 white. It's pretty much the poor man's Vindicate, although it's a really good card in general because it gets rid of enchantments, which a lot of people can't really deal with in this format, so it's always a good card to have. Putrefy. Destroy an artifact or a creature and that can't be regenerated. The regeneration clause on this is really good because a lot of people do run regenerating creatures, and also getting rid of an artifact that they can't regenerate is also very good. So it's a good way to get rid of a lot of pesky creatures as well.
Yeah.
Wardly Tutor. Instant. Search my library for a creature card and put it on top of my library. So it sets up my draws. It's also an instant, so I pretty much get any creature I want in my deck at the moment that I need it, and then put it into my hand. And finally, Vampiric Tutor. Again, same concept as Liliana's -2. Search my library for a card, put it on top of my deck. Only in this case, I have to pay 2 life, which is a fine loss of life in EDH. You're losing 2 life and you're getting a card you need that can either win you the game or put you in a significant league. So 2 life, sure, why not? So onto the sorceries now. Harmonize. 4 mana, draw 3 cards. Really good. It's not that much to say about it. In blue, you look at cards like Concentrate, which does the exact same thing, and you think it's garbage. Harmonize, it's amazing. So hey, you don't get a lot of card draw in the 3 colors that I use without paying life, so it's probably one of the best cards to get. It's also a really good tutor for Dimir Houseguard. Vindicate, destroy permanent. There's not that much to say. Just kill anything you want, and that's pretty much it. Maelstrom Pulse, get rid of a bunch of tokens, get rid of a bunch of clones of other big scary creatures, and it's pretty much all I can say about that. Wipes anything you want. If not, it just acts as another Vindicate. Demonic Tutor, 2 mana, search for anything you want. It pretty much makes any card in your deck a 2 of, which is relevant in EDH. So you get whatever card you need, you play it, sets you back into an advantage position, or if not, just balances everyone out. Diabolic Tutor, slow man's version of Demonic Tutor, but it still works the exact same way for double the price. Get whatever you need, play it, sets you back in the league, sets you back into a state of advantage, or if not, you just get whatever card you need and it balances everything out again.
Yeah.
Idyllic Tutor, search for an enchantment, put it into your hand. So again, you search for an enchantment. If you're low on mana, you go get something like Mirari's Wake. If not, you go get something like Debtor's Knell or Sylvan Library to fix up your draws. Buried Alive. Search your library for 3 creatures and put them into your graveyard. Okay, so you use Buried Alive, search up Genesis, Glory, and Eternal Witness, and you're pretty much good to go. And your opponents are probably going to be kicking themselves if they don't counter it late game after they realize they're giving all your creatures protection and bringing back all of your relevant creatures back from the graveyard every turn.
Yeah.
Exsanguinate. It's my first of my 2 X spells in the deck that are going to win me games frequently. Each opponent loses X life and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. I have single-handedly won games with this card, if not set myself in such an advantage late game in life that no opponent could recover and I just killed them eventually.
It's a beast card.
Good card to have, especially with Cabal Coffers and Vesuva in the deck.
I'd say it's even a staple in black decks.
Probably. Genesis Wave. Most destructive X spell in EDH, in my opinion. It's X colorless, 3 green, reveal the top X cards in my library, and I may put any number of permanents with CMC X or less into play. Okay, all the rest go into my graveyard, so if I hit something like a Genesis or Glory, they go into my graveyard, everything else comes into play. My opponents generally scoop right after this card is played.
Yeah.
Tooth and Nail, the other I win the game card. It costs 7 mana, but who's going to be paying 7 for that? Odds are you're going to be paying 9 for the Entwine cost. So you search for your library for 2 creature cards and put them into my hand. Then I put 2 creatures from my hand into play. Generally, go search up Eternal Witness and something else relevant during the time. Generally, it's Angel of Despair or Primeval Titan. Put them into play, bring Tooth and Nail back, and then cast it again on the same turn or next turn. Light from the Loam. Good recursion spell. Brings back 3 lands from my graveyard. And also, since I run the recursion theme, the Dredge is really good. So I generate massive amounts of card advantage and graveyard advantage. And then after a while, once I don't need it, I stop using it. I have all the lands I need. And I have everything in my graveyard that I need.
Do you ever fear about milling out with it?
Nope. Not one bit. No fear of that. Beacon of Unrest. Put an artifact or a creature from any graveyard onto the battlefield under my control, and then I shuffle Beacon of Unrest back into my library. If it gets countered, it sucks. If not, it goes into my library anyways. Don't really have to worry about milling out on that if it can consistently cast it, and if not, it's probably going to win me the game. It's probably one of the scariest cards that I run, and a lot of people are always afraid when I drop it. Regrowth. The card that Eternal Witness was based off of, 1 colorless, 1 green. Return any card from my graveyard to my hand. So as you can see, a lot of the cards that I've showed so far are already incredibly destructive and or powerful. So I have many options in this deck. Crime and Punishment. So Crime for 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. Who I put a creature card or an enchantment in a graveyard, in an opponent's graveyard, into play under my control, which is always good. And then Punishment, I destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost X. So Crime, I go get a big creature or a really powerful enchantment from my opponent's graveyard. And Punishment, if my opponent has a lot of tokens or a lot of powerful permanents out, the exact same mana cost, I drop that, wipes them all out. It's a great card to have and use in Teneb the Harvester during the Siege Shower, and I recommend it for a lot of people. Loving Death. All players exile all cards from his or her graveyard and then sacrifice all creatures he or she controls, then puts all creatures exiled this way onto the battlefield. Amazing card. Early game, it's a board wipe. Late game, it's a I win the game card for many people. So it's a good card to play no matter what time. So there's always a use for it. Decree of Pain. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. Late game, it's a good way to draw a lot of cards. Early game, you cycle it for 5 mana. It's an infest killing a lot of smaller creatures. So it's always good to use. It kills a lot of utility creatures, and sometimes you might make someone happy for this. Day of Judgment. 2 colorless, 2 white, destroy all creatures. It's pretty basic, don't really have to explain anything there. I rather run Wrath of God than this, but currently I don't have a foil Wrath of God, so until then, I'm going to be running this. Damnation. Same concept as Day of Judgment, only black, but it has the can't be regenerated clause. Kills everything. Generally, in EDH, especially in multiplayers, board wipes are needed multiple times during the game. So Damnation is probably one of the best ones out there, so might as well run it. Austere Command. So in this one, I get to destroy multiple things. I either destroy all artifacts or all enchantments or all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, or all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater. So it acts as a board wipe, or I can destroy all enchantments or artifacts. So it also works as a purify, but it also works in other combinations as well. So depending on what happens, I can just take whatever I want.
Yeah, staple in any white deck.
Definitely. And then probably the best card in the deck, Yawgmoth's Will. It's known as the best card in the game due to the sheer advantage that it gets you. Until end of turn, I may play any card in my graveyard. But if any card were to go to my graveyard, instead it's removed from the game. For 3 mana, the amount of card advantage it nets you, sure, I have no problem with losing a couple of cards. And also, it's probably one of my favorite cards in my deck because it's the only Judge foil I have. And then finally, going off to enchantments. I have a Sylvan Library. At the beginning of my draw step, I draw 2 extra cards, and then I put 2 cards that I drew this turn back on top of my library. I may pay 4 life to draw 2 cards instead of just 1 that turn, or 8 life to keep all 3 cards. So it's a good way to generate a lot of card advantage with Divinity of Pride, because you're probably going to be swinging for 8, so it's just to harmonize every turn. If not, it's a good way to fix up your draws. So it's pretty good. Debtor's Knell. It's pretty much the ultimate staple enchantment in black-white decks. Return a creature from any graveyard back into play under my control every upkeep, or all of my upkeeps. So it brings back any creatures, generates massive amount of card advantage. Warning though, if you drop this early, you're definitely going to be hated out of the game. So it's one of those cards that you should be wary about before you drop it. Aura Shards. In a creature-heavy deck, you should run this, especially if you're running green and white, or the deck that I'm running, or a variant of it. Comes into play, disenchants anything. Sure, why not? It's really good. There's a lot of artifacts and enchantments in this format, so get rid of any of them that you want. I see no problems with that. Pernicious Deed. 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 green. X, sacrifice to destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with CMC X or less. So if you're doing it for 6 or more, odds are you're wiping the entire board, no matter what. So it's a good card to have, always. Mirari's Wake. 5 mana, all my creatures get +1/+1, and whenever I tap a land for mana, I add 1 mana to my mana pool of any type that land could produce. So it makes my dual lands tap for both colors of mana. It makes my my bounce lands tap for 3. It's really good, so why not play it? Again, you'll get hated out really early if you drop this early on, though. Late game, if they don't destroy it, odds are you're going to win immediately. And finally, last but not least, Survival of the Fittest. This is the best engine in the deck, no matter what. It's 1 green. Discard a creature card and put it and search my library for a creature and put it into my hand. So again, it gets rid of the Genesis Glory. You tutor up the Genesis Glory, pitch it, you get whatever creature you want, and that's pretty much it. So that was my Teneb the Harvester deck. I hope you enjoyed the video, and this was MTGCommander, and I'm Zach, and thanks for watching. Okay, so for the creatures, for utility, we have Eternal Witness. It's probably the best creature in EDH for green. It's 3 mana, it's a 2/1. You get any card from your graveyard back to your hand. It's really useful for getting back lands that your opponents have destroyed, or just getting back any big spell or creature that you want to recast again. Yeah. So that's one of the main reasons that I run it.
Yeah, it's a good combo card.
Oh yeah. So next card, Necrotic Ooze. I use Necrotic Ooze for a lot of reasons. Generally, I have a couple of abilities that I like to use over and over again early game, like Sakura-Tribe Elder or Birds of Paradise every once in a while. So that, of course, gives me another way to use them, and also if my opponents have a lot of activated abilities in their graveyard, I also get that. I know some people run the Triskelion Phyrexian Devourer combo in some of their decks, so of course Necrotic Ooze gains those abilities where I just effectively go almost infinite and kill them on their turn at the cost of like 3/4 of my deck, mind you. But still, in a 1-versus-1 game, it's good enough to win the game.
Scary combo.
Yeah. So next card is Dimir Houseguard. I use it mainly for the transmute. I have a couple of good 4 CMC cards in the deck, so this effectively just makes it a second one of that card, so it's easier to get out. If not, it's a 2/3 Fear, which in EDH isn't really that good because a lot of players use Fear. But he's also used as a sack engine to generate a couple of nice little combos in the deck. So that's mainly why I use him.
Yeah, lots of EDH decks in black run him.
Yeah. So then there's Solemn Simulacrum. Pretty much a staple. Comes into play, go get a basic land card, put into play tapped. So of course that's Mana XL right there, which is always good. When he dies, you get a draw card, which is also really good. So he's a good blocker, and sometimes your opponents will let you block it for you. So it just goes, he goes and gets into the graveyard, and you get a draw card.
Yeah, he's a sad robot.
Yes, he is. So then there's Necrotic Sliver, which a lot of people are going to be seeing this and going, what? Slivers? Why do you run that? You got to realize, its ability reads, 3 colorless, sacrifice this creature, destroy target permanent. It's a Vindicate at any time that you want.
Yeah, it's
at the
really
cost
good.
of 3 mana. So that's pretty much the biggest reason why I run it. 3 mana, Vindicate at any time? Sure, why not? I'll take that. So, Birds of Paradise. I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain that. It's pretty obvious. Mana XL is always good, and if it adds 1 mana of any color that I can produce, sure, why not? It's great. Sakura-Tribe Elder, 2 mana for a 1/1, not so good. Sacrifice it, go get a land, makes it amazing. So, it's good mana ramp, early game, it's always good, it's always appreciated, and brings out generals early and other good cards really quickly. So, I love using this card. Acidic Slime, probably another one of the best green cards in the entire Game of Magic for EDH. Comes into play, destroys an artifact, enchantment, or land, and it's a 2/2 death touch. So it kills a lot of good stuff too. The 5 mana, it's not a big deal.